Is de behoefte aan het niet.
Okay, folks, this is section 1. Okay, folks, it is I, Crazy Jack, again. Hi. Right, now, I'm not going to mess around. I'm going to try and keep this. This is another WWW, Crazy Jack's one take words of wisdom. One take words of wisdom. You thought WWW meant the World Wide Web, doesn't? Right. I'm going to try and keep this concise, okay, because people are complaining about my 2.5 hour videos. Now, here we have a DubFace. Yes. I'm afraid, I'm sorry, I can't remember the name of the customer this is going out to, but he got in touch and he said, I used to have a VW camper van and it was purple. Wow. And he purchased one of these to go with a couple of other bits and pieces he's got of retro sort of stuff, including a really nice headlight thing. Anyway, waffling again. Anyway, he bought one of these and he said, hi Crazy Jack, can you put a purple LED in it to go with my, you know, as a reminder of my old purple VW camper? So I said, yes, I can do that. You know, I can put any colour LED in it, really. There we go, a little tray of LEDs, assuming they make that colour. Now, red, blue, green, yellow, white, yeah, everyone's seen those. Purple ones are a little bit more rare. Yes, they're more rare. I don't know why. It's something to do with the, you know, light, the electronics of them. Anyway, so I thought, okay, so I bought some purple ones. Okay, you can actually buy them. Here's a little batch of purple ones, not sponsored, but this came from Bright Components, and I'll see if I can show you quickly what they look like when they're glowing. Nothing wrong with Bright Components. They delivered on time and a good price for these, so this is not their fault. It's just the nature of the LEDs themselves. So here's my little LED tester, which I built some time ago. Enables you to put a battery in there. This is just an old battery. It's got a resistor built in to avoid burning out the LED. And all I do is, I'll probably snip off a leg. Let me see. I will do this. I colour the positive leg first, just in case when I snip things off I forget. I've got red on both there. It comes off. Anyway, right, so just put those LEDs away, so they go everywhere. Get my snippers, snip these both the same length, little bits of metal go everywhere. And yes, I can still just about see my red legs, so I'll pop those in there. Yeah, the sharp ends aren't going in now because I've got little barbs that I've just created. There we go. Right, so that's in there, and the battery connection isn't great, but let me see. Is that on? Yes. No, it's daylight. There we go. You can see that's on. That's off. That's on. That's off. Okay, so as you can see, it's like a pale lilac sort of colour. Yeah, sure, in a dark gig environment, you know, some dark pub somewhere or Wembley Arena or something, you might be able to see that as a purple LED, but when it's off it's just white and it's not much fun. So nothing to do with Bright Components, but thank you Bright Components for getting this to me in time. That's great. I will use them for another project, I'm sure, just not today. So what do we do if we have sorry, let's put that back where it came from. So what do we do if we need a purple LED? Right, I came up with the idea of soldering two together. There we go, and have them both on at once. And well, let's see what happens, shall we? Where's my LED tester? So let's pop the positive wire in there, the negative wire on here, and turn it on. Okay, that's on, that's off, that's on. Right, I don't know whether you can see, but only one of them is lighting up, the red one. It must have less internal resistance or something, because that's the way the current is going, but it's not going through the blue one. So the first thing I had to work out to do was to put a resistor on each one appropriate to the forward voltage that I wanted to create. So there we go. So they both got their separate LEDs. Now this is my prototype. I hadn't ordered the acrylic stuff from Amazon, but I found an acrylic handled little screwdriver. I've got dozens of these. So I drilled a 5mm hole right through it. You see, this works. And then I had two LEDs, a red one and a blue one. I'm sure you know what LEDs look like, but in case you don't, let me find my tweezers. Where's my tweezers gone? There we go. Right, so took a red LED like that, and a blue LED like that, and I cut the tops off. I ground them down a bit so that they'd meet up halfway through this. I drilled a 5mm hole straight through it. I wired the appropriate resistor. One's 2K, one's 1K. And if you're interested in creating this, maybe I'll do a little schematic and put a picture up here. There it is. Ding. Okay, and then just wired them up to a plus and negative, positive and negative wire. It's going through a little a miniature breadboard, which is what I worked on in the first place. To work this out, just pop a battery onto here with the old battery clip. Oh, you've got a purple LED. Beautiful. Okay. Yeah, so the red's going in one side, the blue's going in the other side, and due to the internal reflection and things that's going on in that acrylic tube, we've got a purple light. Yes, now that is beautiful. I've got to say, that is absolutely beautiful. I created this last night. So that's my prototype. So then I ordered some acrylic rods from Amazon, and these have just come a few minutes ago. There we go. I've got two sizes there, 8mm and 6mm. It was the 8mm one I thought I'd use. So I'm going to go off to the garage and cut this down in a minute to recreate this. And I also bought, where's it gone? I've left it in the garage. Oh, yeah. I also bought one of these 8mm LED holder. So the idea is, whereas normally I put a 5mm LED in a 6mm hole here with a little black plastic holder, that's one of these. Okay, that goes in, there's a 6mm hole on the DubFace. That goes in there like that. The LED comes in from the back like that, clips in, and there we go. Nice and easy. But of course, creating a purple LED is a little bit more. Whoops, that's gone. There we go. Try and keep all these parts. No. So the idea is I'm going to make a bigger hole for this one and pop that in there because the customer, sorry, I'll get your name right in a minute, asked specifically for that. And it's going to look a bit like that. Isn't that beautiful? Isn't that beautiful? Right, so there we go. So that's how we're going to create our purple LED. The tricky thing is now actually making it from one of these 8mm rods. I'm feeling it could be a bit tricky, but let's go and find out, shall we? Okay, so here we are in the shed stroke workshop, and sunshine. Yes, we've hardly had any this year, but we've got a little bit of mid-April sunshine here in the UK. Right, so the next little bit is explaining what I'm going to do about this. Okay, so this is the tricky bit. Basically, I'm going to make the LED out of some 8mm acrylic rod. Now, I've used acrylic stuff in the past when I made my pickup winder, and one of the first things I learned was when you put a normal drill bit into a piece of acrylic, a circle of acrylic, it pretty easily cracks, which is no good. So you end up, so I ended up learning about getting to know how to use step drills. Now, step drills are lots of little size drill bits all in one bit, and this is a very good way for drilling things, that are liable to crack like acrylics. Anyway, this is a special case because, as I've already explained earlier in the LED, in the video, I'm going to implant two LEDs, one red, one blue, into this 8mm thing. Now the LEDs are tiny, but they're 5mm diameter themselves, 5mm diameter themselves, and this is only 8mm in diameter, so there's not a lot of wiggle room in this. Now, oh, by the way, I'll just quickly show you some of the things that are coming along. You know, the Mogface and DubFace fuzz pedals. I just thought I'd show you a few that I've got on my bench here today. Let's have a look, see if we can get the camera over there. There you go, there's some on my workbench. Right, make you feel seasick there. Right, so these are the standard Mogface type thing, and these actually come in two different varieties. There's like a lighter weight one and a slightly heavier one. Both very, very similar, exactly the same dimensions. They just drill slightly differently. Right, okay. So I'm just going to show you a few that I've got on my workbench. Here's one that's marked up, ready for drilling, and this one's put aside for my friend Matthew. He wanted to order the Mogface because he liked the M for Matthew, and this one came out of the box with the little red paint in it. I think I've seen them actually. I don't know whether they went into production like that. I'm not sure whether someone's just done that. I'm not sure, but that's a nice little one. That's put aside for Matthew's, and there's the raw plywood base that's going to go on the bottom there. So as well as the Mogface, we've also got the VW ones, the DubFace, and there's a gnarly specimen. Now some of these clean up really, really well, but some of them don't. Some of them are almost perfect to start with. Look at that. Look at that. That's a beauty. That is. That's a beauty. I'm going to put something special in this one. But some of them, you know, are beyond just a quick clean. Some of them are pretty gnarly, and I think I'm going to do this as a special edition. This is for the real, you know, relic road worn, very road worn version there. I'm going to put something special in that one too. Anyway, I've decided to branch out and bring along some other models, makes. We've got some Fiat. Now the Fiat face is looking great. I'll probably put a picture up here of the finished one because I've nearly finished that, but there's the Fiat hubcap, and that's a really nice hubcap actually. It's not too big, it's not too small, it's a Goldilocks hubcap. But the dimensions of this, the width is perfect for your input and output sockets and everything there. It's a nice one, that one as well. Again, slightly on the bigger side, we've got a Rover with a real metal brass or bronze or something there, embossed logo right in the middle of that. Look at that. And so again, I'm going to do something special for these as well. And guess what my brother bought me for Christmas? Hi Sean, if you're watching this. Some Austin hubcaps. Now they're quite small, so I'm going to have to think of what to do with those, but watch this space. And the latest thing I've just been playing around with today, I bought this tin of metallic spray paint a while ago, probably about 3 or 4 years ago, and I've used it for all kinds of things. It seems to have lasted forever, including, excuse me, spraying the handles of my old files. Yeah, and I've done a couple of the fish faces in that colour as well, but today I just thought, because the sun was shining, I'd see what it looked like on this. Now this one was beyond, not beyond repair, but it needed a little bit of TLC. The corrosion had gone right through in a couple of places, so I've actually padded it with some of this Araldite putty, which is actually very good. And then sanded the surface. I made a bodge of the paint there, so I'm going to sand this off and start again. But look at that, red metallic. Now that's, I've sanded that back again. It was very, very glossy, but that's something else coming along. So watch this space. Right, anyway, now what was I talking about? There we go, ramble, see. Now, so here's my, yeah, as I said, I'm just about to embark on the second attempt with the acrylic thing. I'll show you the first one. The first one polished up really nicely. I took the end and I put it on my bench grinder and sort of just rounded the end of it because I want to, you know, make it like an LED. Now I didn't know whether this would work at all before I started this, and I'm surprised that it was actually relatively easy to do. And let's see if I can get this tape off. I put some tape around it so that it would hold in the vise a little bit better without cracking it. And yeah, this tape's fiddly, especially when you've got old gnarly thumbs like mine. There we go. Let's see if I can get this. Oh, wow. Interesting tape, isn't it? Never comes off easily when you want it to. And it always comes off when you don't want it to. Anyway, I won't bother taking that off now, but just to show you. There's the polished end of my first attempt. And look at that. A bit on the grinder, and then some different grade sandpapers, and finally some guitar finishing polish, very, very fine grit. And that's perfect. So that part of it worked really, really well. Unfortunately, as I sort of predicted, when drilling a 5mm diameter hole right through the middle of this rod, can you see that? There we go. It cracked. Now, whether I sort of wiggled the drill a bit or whether it's just, you know, not enough material left there, I don't know. But I'm going to have another go now, so I thought I'd show you. So here's our rod to start with, and the first thing I'm going to do is to turn on my angle grinder thing, bench grinder, which is down here. Let's see if I can show you a picture of that. There we go, on the bench. Sorry, no, let me see. There we go. There you go. Can you see that? Yeah. Right, I'm just going to put my gloves on. And this sunshine's gorgeous, isn't it? Right, turn it on. Or in my case, turn it off, because the on-off switches have been reversed. I'm just going to give it a little tiny Can you see that? Yeah. Okay, you could go on forever with that. There we go, slightly rounded. Now I'm going to take some sandpaper to that. That's still in sound, yes, still in camera. Well, hold your ears. Just going to slow this down. Here we go. Right, that's better. Now, so I'm just going to round that a little bit there with the sandpaper. I'm doing the rounding of this before I do the drilling, because once you've drilled this, there's just going to be two sides of very, very little material left, so I don't want to damage that. So I'm doing anything that requires a bit more pressure. And I do have a nice sanding board here actually, which I made up, but the grinder's on top of it. I didn't prepare for this video at all, so I apologise for the scrappy layout of the den. Right, okay, that's fine. Right, let's go over here. Sorry about this. Yeah, I've got lots of stuff going on here at the moment. Let's see if we can get you on camera here. Right, so there. So, there's my big red one. Put that over here so I don't knock it over inadvertently. Sorry, the bench is built up with lots of stuff. Now, where was my, what did I do next? Oh yes, bit of that. And then I think what I do is I put this in the drill. That's my 5mm bit. So, and this is where the tape came in. Right. Now, I'm going to put this in the drill and rotate it, but I'm going to have to load it in by the very other end. So I'm just repeating what I did in the first place, but this time, hopefully when I come to drill the 5mm hole down the middle, I'll be a bit more successful. Anyway, so this is just to show you how to make this little LED thingy. Right, let's get a piece of sandpaper. Can you see that? Yes. And here's my rod. How's that going? Can you see that? Right. Okay, how's that looking? Not bad, not bad at all actually. Can you see that? Right. Okay, so now it's roughly the right shape, but it's a bit opaque. So I'm going to now put it back in the drill and use some finer grit sandpaper. Just a bit of old wood working sandpaper. Okay, let's have a look at that. Can you see that? That's not bad. Yeah, it's feeling fairly smooth actually. It's got a little dimple in the middle there. I might sand that out. See if I can sand out that dimple. I don't really want that. Now, where's my very fine grit paper? Oh, there we go. And this is stuff I use for polishing frets and things like that, so very fine. What have we got? Down to 400. Not bad. I've got 1500 and 2000 there somewhere. Right, there we go. Same thing. Right, that's pretty good actually. Okay, that feels pretty smooth. So, final stage, we can do the same thing. Instead of using sandpaper, I'm going to use some of this guitar polish finishing, plastic and acrylic polishing compound application B. Right, I've already got some on the, it's a bit old and dried up, so there's not a lot left in there. But I've already got some on the rag. The last time I used this, 10 minutes ago, so let's see if that still works. Can you see that? Pretty good. It does what it says on the tin. Acrylic polishing compound. Now, there's a couple of divots on there, but I'm not going to bother too much. Not worry about it too much. I'm going to put some more. Let's see if I can get a bit more of this stuff out. Hold on. I think it's water soluble, so I can put some water in there, I expect. But let me just see if I can shake some out. That looks good. Yes. Right, there we go. Let's pop some of that on the old rag there. Okay. I need a tiny bit. This is lovely stuff. I've been using this. That little bottle's lasted me years. Okay, let's have a look. Wipe it off. Not bad at all. Not bad at all. Now that's beautifully round and shiny. By the way, that sort of strange wailing sound in the background is my neighbour's cat. Sounds like a child. It's very strange. Anyway, right, I think I'm going to Yep, I think I'm going to go with that. Okay, right, so the next tricky operation is to drill my 5mm hole. So first of all, I'm going to tape off some of this. So I measured it previously to go into the little adapter thing. Yeah, I might even redo this actually, because I've got a couple of divots there and I don't like that being a perfectionist. So hold on a second. Okay, I just redid that one a little bit, but there you go. You can see how beautiful that is. There we go. Right, okay, so let's get it drilled. Let's go over here. Okay, hopefully you can see that. Will you be able to see that? See what I'm doing? Yeah, pretty much so. Look at this lovely stack of hubcaps here. Right, let's move those out of the way a little bit. Including this one. Tell me in the comments. Let me know in the comments. I'd be really interested what you guys and gals think of this. Whether you'd like a fuzz pedal that's this road worn, or whether you want them nice and shiny. Yeah, right. All colours. What sort of colours would you like to see? As I said, I'm using the last of that can, which has lasted years, to do. Whoops. To do a. There we go. Thought I'd ruined it then. This is the useful thing about having a fleece, by the way. Right. Grab the old fleece. Okay. Now, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to tape this up, so that I can put it in the vise without damaging it. I suppose I should have those nice padded jaws on the vise really, but I'm just not making this up as I go along, but no, where's my thing? Right, here's the one I did previously, and that was measured out to the right length. So if I measure that to there, where I'm going to put the LEDs, you see. Because I've got the little black plastic LED holder, haven't I? Right, so okay, so I'm going to put this in the vise. I think what I'm going to actually do is tape over another section so that the vise can hold it more securely. Because on my first attempt, this was wobbling around a little bit, and as I've learned from all of my woodworking endeavours, that ain't good. Now, first of all, to give the drill something, instead of slipping around on this round surface, I'm just going to flatten the top of this very slightly. Let me see. And that way it's like you're drilling into a flat surface, which is good. Right, it doesn't matter which side you approach. So I've just got a little flat file here. I'm just taking a little bit of the roundness off. There we go, can you see that? Probably not, but just got a little flat edge there to start the drill off. Okay, and I'm going to mount that in my vise. And this vise, for some reason, isn't quite parallel. It doesn't help the fact that I've put more tape on one end than the other, so I'm just going to pad the other end out with a bit more tape. See, it's like the meticulous attention to detail that I put into these things. That's usually what improves the end result. It may seem a bit long-winded sometimes, but believe me, it's worth it. Right, okay, there we go. Okay, so my flat surface is at the top, and the key thing I want to do is make sure that drill goes down dead centre. So let's get my 2, 2.5, 3, 4, 4.8. Right, so I'm starting off with a 2mm bit. And we're going to try and make that as central as possible. I wonder if I can make a little divot with my Bradle thing. It's going to get right in the centre of there. Yep. Just doing this by eye. There we go. Okay, let's go. And just being very careful with this because I don't want to mess this up. So I'm going to rotate that my way a little bit. Yeah, that looks pretty central to me. Pretty happy with that. So let's see. The last one ended up being off centre. Right. I'm going to rotate that a little bit more. I'm using a little bit of an angle on the drill and rotating it a tiny bit to see if I can keep that central. I really think it's time to get myself a drill press. Yeah. Okay, we're through. Right, let's pop that out and have a look, shall we? No, I don't know whether you can see that. Can you see that from where you are? There we go. I'll tell you what, I'm pretty happy with that. That looks to me to be perfectly central. Yeah, very happy with that. Right, so let's pop it back in. And I'm going to go very carefully and very gradually up through the bit sizes. So that was 2. I think this one's 2.5 millimeters diameter. I'm just very gently going to sort of ease that through there. Now, in the previous version, I just whacked the next bit through and then the next one, and it wasn't until the end that I realised it had cracked. I think it cracked in the last one anyway, but just going to be ultra careful. So now we're up to 2.5, 3 mil. Here we go. Okay, it's gone through nicely. So now 4, 2, 2.5, 3. Is this 4? Yes, it is. Feels a lot bigger, but there we go. I would have done 3.5, but I've lost it. Or rather, I broke it, I think. Just going to rotate that hair that way. Now that felt like it cracked, unfortunately. Yeah, I think it has, yeah. What a shame. Has it? Well, it has. I suppose the question is, yeah, it's cracked. Unfortunately, it's cracked both sides. I don't know whether you can you see that? So that'd be my second attempt. I'm starting to think this 8mm stuff may not be doable. What I'm going to do is I'm going to tape it up, which will hold it together, and then I'm going to drill it anyway and then see if I can glue it back together, because a little bit of CA glue in there, as long as it's cyanide acrylic CA cyanide acrylic, cyanate acrylic, something like that. Anyway, it should bond pretty well to this stuff. Right, so I'm going to tape over that completely while it's still in one piece. The tape, of course, has decided to separate. Great, thanks tape. Split and there we are, see. It's probably because I didn't bother to cut it off properly last time. Right. So I'm going to put a fair bit of tape around this to hold it together. It's a shame it split because I was doing well and that was a nice straight hole as well. Okay, so let's see if I can find the hole again. Yes, I can. And pop it in the vise. And I'm going to drill. What was that? Okay, that was 4, so I'm going to put the 4 through it again. Okay. Now I believe we want 4 point. Is that 4.5? I'm looking at the light. It's worn off, but I'm pretty sure that's 4.5. Through. Yeah, you're going to see the end result at the same time as I do. We're looking for our... Okay, this is the final one, my little 5mm bit. There we go. Well, listen to the cracking noise again. So that's interesting, that's just gone straight through, and I think that's probably because it's separated, the cracking has separated the piece. I need to make sure it's drilled out a 5mm hole, so let's see, shall we? How am I going to get that off? Right, mess. Right, knife. A scalpel around here, Oh, there it is, back in there. Right, so let's see if I can extract this without scratching the acrylic rod itself. I'm pretty sure it's broken. It'd be fun, wouldn't it, if it wasn't broken and then I broke it doing this. Anyway. And if this doesn't work, I'm going to have to think of another way of doing it. Yeah, well, that's definitely separated. Okay, we've got a clean break on there, clean crack, so it may be possible to glue that back together. Should be interesting. Right. So it's not easy working with gloves on sometimes. So, sorry about the light, by the way. Let's see if we can get some more light in here. Oh, by the way, these are dead useful. Pop that on there. And, okay, there we go. Is that better? Sorry about that. Right, so can I glue that back together? And will it be strong enough? Interesting question. Yeah, the 5mm diameter hole has taken away a lot of material. There's not a lot remaining there. I'm not sure whether that 5mm hole will actually take the LED. So another solution I was thinking of doing was to drill it. I need to put the 2 LEDs in, the blue and the red. So the other solution was I was thinking of drilling halfway through for one colour and then halfway through from the other side, a bit further down for the other colour. So instead of having one big hole going through, I've got two half holes. That's another option. Well, anyway, let's whack a bit of glue on there. Let me just see, out of curiosity, you see, oh, in my mind there's no such thing as a non-useful mistake. Every mistake is a learning experience. I've got clean surfaces. Is that going to match? You know what? That's a bit of a mess. I don't think that's going to hold together at all. Right, back to the drawing board. What I'm going to do is to grind another... I'll keep these bits because I will inevitably use them for something. But I'm going to grind another... Or shall I do it on here? Okay, hold on a minute. Right, now here's an interesting thing. I just had a bit of a brainwave. You still there? Sometimes I talk to myself, so I turn the camera off. Just had a bit of a brainwave. I was trying to drill, you know, into this rod from two sides. So I have an LED coming one side, another one coming in the other side. They'd meet up and create the red plus blue equals purple colour. But obviously that drilling's not too successful. But then I've just had an idea. I don't like wasting materials, so I thought, how can I use this bit? It's already nicely ground at this end. I've just had an idea. Can you see what I've done there? I've just ground off. This is very easy. Sometimes the easy solution is the best thing. Keep it simple, stupid, as they say. I've ground off it's not quite a 90-degree angle, but I've ground an angle onto the bottom of this. And the idea is, I was going to flatten the ends of the LEDs anyway to get them in there. So I'm just going to glue a flattened LED on one side and glue the other one onto the other side. I think that'll work. Let's see, shall we? Now back to the indoor bench. Here we go. Part 2. Okay, folks, so back from the shed. I've brought a couple of bits in. So here's the theory. I've just taken the tape off that. There's our acrylic rod, 8mm diameter, and as you can see, I've just ground two flat surfaces there at an angle. And the theory is I can get my two LEDs like this, glue them onto the ends there at an angle, and the internal reflective properties of this will create a nice purple glow at the end there. Okay, so I just realised I'm going to have to grind these down as well, because I want to have these are standard LEDs, as you can see, the rounded ends, but I want flat surfaces to glue onto there. So I'm just going to nip off back to the garage and grind those. Back in a second. Hold on. Okay, so just been off to the shed and ground down those two. Can you see? Two nice flat topped LEDs there, which should sit nicely on there. Yeah. Okay, now before I go any further, I'm going to test them again, because I did on my first attempt at this, I ground one of the LEDs down too far, ruined something inside it, and it didn't work. So we'll just check those again a minute. Hey, we have light. See that? There we go. So the blue one's working. Good. And the red one. Yay, the red one's working too. Good. Looks a bit odd. Anyway, it worked when it went into the screwdriver thing, so I'm sure it'll be fine. Okay, so the next thing to do. Okay, so we've got our acrylic rod nicely ground down. This is when I find out that super glue and acrylic don't work and melt each other or something like that. Should be okay. I mean, this is what it's called. Ethyl 2 cyanoacrylate. Cyanoacrylate, Ca. That's something to do with cyanide. And acrylic. So, are they nice and flat? Yes. Do you know what? I'm just going to do this live on air. Because I know they're going to go in that position. Yeah, the whole thing's going to slot into there, so it's all going to be fine. So I'm just going to dab a bit of super glue on here. And, whoa, that's a big blob there. Might take some of that off. Let's see, still a bit of paper. A little bit too much. Right. And I'm just going to put this on here, like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's just sitting there at the moment. Not a perfect angle, but you know, you can't be perfect every time, can you? I think that's going to be good, you know. Right, need to get the other one on there, don't we? Let's put a little dab of glue on the other side. Tiny smidge, so we don't have to go mad. Put the lid on so I don't squirt super glue all over the place. And what have I done with the blue one? There we go. And I'm going to have both positives on the same side, just so it makes it easier when wiring the thing up. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. That sort of feels to me as if that's already glued to some extent. It's not falling off. Here we go. Right, I'm going to give that another minute to set. There we go, there's our little, it's like a little Sputnik, isn't it? Which is relevant this last week because we just had the Artemis 2, is it? 3? I can't remember. But the Artemis space mission to go around the moon and back. Anyway, there we go. Right, so I think that's actually, yeah, that's pretty solid. I'm happy with that. Okay, so the next thing to do, so it's going to go into there like that. Oh, super glue. It's going to go into there like that, and these wires here. I'm trying to be careful to make sure it doesn't get too deep, because we've only got a certain limited amount of depth to play with in the enclosure. Right, okay, so, super glue, careful. So, right, next thing to do is to wire that up. And as I said, all I've got to do is put a resistor coming off the blue, resistor coming off the red, solder those in parallel to the positive wire, ground wire coming off, and we should be able to test our little thing. Great. Now, I'm going to mark the longer leg with some red again, just so I know, because I think it's worn off. Now, the other way to tell an LED, which side is which, is there's a little flat edge. I think that's on the negative side. Yes, it is. Yeah. So if the legs get lost or truncated or shortened, insert the thesaurus word of your choice here. We know where we are. Right, okay, let's get my soldering iron going. Okay, so I've just started to wire this up and decide where the wires are going to go. So basically I've twisted the two ground wires together, get that sort of out of the way first of all. I'm just waiting for my soldering iron to warm up a little bit, put a few things away. Always good to do, tidy up as we go. It's a bit chaotic. It's not chaotic, it's organised chaos. Right, now, okay, I've just got so many projects on all at the same time, so things get a little bit cluttered. Anyway, right, so this is going to be a really interesting little LED, isn't it? Combined LED. Okay, so I'm going to snip those ends over there. And I've mentioned this before. If you haven't done this, you know the standard helping hands thing that everyone loves or hates, and they always fall over. I've bolted mine, see, it's only a little cheap thing, onto a 100mm square 4 or 5mm steel plate, and that's heavy enough to keep it stable. This is great. I use it all the time. I've tried lots of different sort of helping handy things. This is great. Anyway, right, waffling again. So I need to find a way of holding this. Yeah, it's going to be wobbling around, isn't it? I think I'll put some blue tack around it. Other brands are available, not sponsored, but as everybody who has an electronics channel says, get some of this stuff. It's very useful. There we go, see? Just pack that in there. Right, like that. And I'm going to need a ground wire. Fortunately, I have some handy. And I'm not going to skimp on this. I'm just going to do a big long piece and I can cut it to length later. I've just bought in some more, so I've got plenty of this going wrong. And a positive. Now, on the original, in fact, that's interesting. On the original, the DubFace that I'm wiring up at the moment, I colour code everything, and this is really useful to keep on top of where wires are going and make it very, very simple. And I use generally black for ground, of course, red for the 9-volt power supply, yellow for signal, signal in, and green for the signal going out. And I've left aside blue and white for the LED, which works for me nicely. The blue being almost black, dark colour, that's always the ground, and the white is the positive. So I'm not going to confuse things by doing a black after all, actually. I'm going to go with my normal convention and use some white and some blue. Right. My little tray of wires there. Oh dear, that's my blue tack gone missing. I need that later. Can I feel it? Yes, I need to tidy up this desk and have some more drawers and things. Anyway, right, so back to square one. No, we don't need a great deal because it's going in the DubFace, but I'm just going to cut a nice long lead because we might be doing some other experimenting, testing and so on. Same for the white. There we go. So white wire, blue wire. Where's my famous wire strippers? Yeah, see, I made that myself from a pair of snips with a nice little hole. I think I've shown this on other videos, but can you see that little indentation there? Perfect. Love this. Right, so the blue is going to be our ground in this case, and I think my squirt that round like that. I think my soldering iron's nice and hot now. There we go, see? Helping hands. I wonder if there's a song. Right. Get the soldering iron, try and knock the camera over. Solder. There it is. I'm going to have to sort this desk out. Get some more shelves and stuff. Right, so just nice little whoops, solder joint there. Let that cool off. That's our ground. Now, I'm going to put some heat shrink onto that in a minute. I'll do that in a second. Next, we need a 1K resistor and a 2K resistor. Let's get my little folder of resistors here. So where are we? 472K, that'll do. I'll have one of these. And a 1K, I believe it was. 470, 510, 560, 1K. Right, there we go. Back in the folder, so I can always find them easily. You should do this, it's great. Right, oh. Right, tidy up tomorrow. So, I'm going to test those to make sure they are what they think they are. So here's your multimeter, and that's telling me this one's 0.995K, so that's your 1K. I'm not going to mark that. And the other ones, 2.01, pretty bang on, that's your 2K. So I'm just going to mark this one. So the 2K one's going to have a little marked top. Just going to put some black dots around that, so I know that's the 2K. Probably forget it in a minute. Anyway, so where are we? Now, I can't remember offhand. I think, yeah, I've marked this one. So I think that was the 2K. The 2K is going to the blue one. I'm going to check that. Right. So here's our prototype, and I'm going to check. Hold on. 2K is going to the blue, so let's do that one first. What did I say? The 2K is the marked one here. Right, so that's going to go to the blue one. Now, I'm going to bend them over this way so it's all coming out one way, because I like, I want to echo what I've already got going on with this thing here. So that's fine, I can put the heat shrink on there later, but I'm going to bend these over the same direction. So let's get some heat shrink on there first. And this is going to be the live one, so I'll use yellow. Yes, thank you. That's the neighbour's dog. Appears in quite a few of my videos. I seem to put it outside and let it bark. Right, oh yes, I only want a little bit on here to stop it from hitting that other leg. Right, and we'll get our famous heat shrink heat gun. Well, it's not a heat gun at all, it's a lighter. But I like this. Sailor Joe from Hello Sailor Effects does this too, and he's been going for years, so he must know what he's doing. There we go. So there we are. Okay, a little bit of heat shrink. I'll then solder on the resistors. What did I say? 2K is going to the blue, isn't it? Put our blue tack in it. This is getting messy. I'll have to clean this up later. So our 2K resistor, the one with the blobs, whoops, is going to the blue LED. Yeah, it's starting to get messy. Never mind. It's the same Cornwall Matter Doer. Okay, so there we go. There's our resistor. Oops. Going to this leg, and the heat shrink's falling off. Right, so nice, that's fine. So you can see these little helping hands on this stand work quite nicely. I can understand why people don't like the little these old-fashioned helping hand things, because when I used to use them first, I experienced the same problem. You just knock them over all the time because they're so flimsy and lightweight. But when they're on a nice metal base like this, believe me, it's great. It's great. Okay, so there we go. That's one. Now our 1K resistor is going to go to the... If you wonder what I'm doing there, I've got a little tuner tin for a desktop bin. Try and control where these things go, but a lot of them do fly off all over the place. Never mind. Right, so let's get that aligned. Yeah, it's a tiny bit long. Snip off another 2mm there. Align them nicely. The soldering iron's nice and hot. We're working at 450 degrees apparently, according to the little... There we go. Soldering iron temperature thing. I don't know whether it is or not. It's only a cheap soldering iron actually, but it seems to be doing fairly well. Right, so there's our two resistors coming off our composite LED thingy. I have to think of a name for this. It looks great, doesn't it? Right, so we're going to bend those all in the same direction there. So let's put some heat shrink on the blue one. Tweezers. Okay, is that long enough? Yeah, that'll do. That's beautiful. Beautiful. Get our specialist Crazy Jack heat gun. Version 1. Ooh, warm. And now I can, having protected these with some heat shrink, I can bend these over so it's all going in the same direction, like this. Because I want to make a sort of elegant shape for this and keep its profile sort of low as well. There we go. Can you see that? Nice, isn't it? Now, I'll put some wires on that, then we're ready for some heat shrink. And it's all done. Cut it there. Oh, actually, I could have just twisted them together, couldn't I? In fact, I can still do that, because they're both going to a common positive wire in. So there we go. Right. A little bit of solder to join those together. Beautiful. And that's now ready to attach. I'm going to put a big piece of heat shrink over that. Because having taken care to build this, I don't want to then, where's my big heat shrink stuff gone? Excuse me. Right, a little pot of it over here, will that go over? Yes, just about. Yes, thank you. Neighbour's dog barking away in the background. Okay. Yeah, I don't want to have to sort of have to debug problems later, thinking, why isn't that working? It's because there's a short circuit or something. So there we go. So that is now protected there. Let's pop a wire onto here, shall we? Actually, that was okay as it was. So we'll put that in here, like this. Then we need our positive wire, which is going to be the light colour, which is my little coding, my little wiring convention, colour coding. Pop that over there. Whoops. And now we can trim this down a bit. I think in the future I might move the camera a bit closer so you can see what's actually going on. Hopefully you can still see from there. Beautiful. Nice big blob of solder. There we are. So there's our little unit. And now, excuse me, I'm going to put some more heat shrink on to keep that all together. I'm quite happy with that. That's turned into exactly the sort of thing I'd intended to go in here, like this. It's quite large, but never mind, it's a special case. So let's get some heat shrink on there as well. Well, a blue thing. Take 2 wires or not? Yes, that will. So just going to... I use quite a lot of heat shrink, and the reason being is that I don't want to have to flap around later trying to debug, sort out problems which are caused by a short circuit because I didn't do something like this. Let's get that big stuff again. I'm going to put a big piece. Actually, yeah, just go with black. To keep it all together. Like, yeah, that doesn't actually go over. Or will it? Will it fit? Yeah, actually will. That's good. That's good. I'm going to put another piece of tubing in there. Going mad. It's a heat shrink tubing festival. I shouldn't be using too much really. Okay. It's my dinner. Yeah, pop that in there, that'll be fine. And seal it up like that. And there we go. There's our special case LED. I might even put a piece of heat shrink tubing over all of that. Anyway, tell you what we'll do very quickly. See if it works, shall we? Very quickly, because my dinner's on the table. Where's my battery? We've got we've got 2 resistors built in here, so we're not going to burn these out, he said. Let's see what we've got. Oh, isn't that beautiful? That makes me very happy. There we go. There's our purple LED. Looks quite bright. That's going to work nicely. Right, I'm going to go have my dinner and then I'll be back. Okay folks, so just had a really lovely dinner cooked by my long-suffering partner Sarah. Thank you, Sarah. Lovely salmon and sautéed potatoes and vegetables. Now, I'm going to finish off the rest of this video tomorrow morning, but as it's getting dark now, and you know these LED things are difficult to see in daylight sometimes, as it's getting dark, I'm just going to finish off with a quick little demo so you can see what this thing looks like. Now I've just been out to the shed again and just drilled a 12mm hole and sunk the little LED holder in there. I've finished off by putting some more heat shrink tubing around this, so everything's protected, and that structurally that also helps keep it all together. That's nice and firm. A couple of layers of heat shrink tubing to match the internal diameter of this little grommet. Push that in, that's nice and firm. I'll probably put a little bit of tape or something around that just to make sure that doesn't slip out. But I thought before we finish for tonight, I'm going to do a little demo so you can see what this looks like. So I'm just going to solder on a quick battery clip. I'll put a little bit of insulation around one of them so they don't short out. In fact, being a bit of a perfectionist, I'll probably put a bit around both. Okay, so here we have our ubiquitous Chinese made battery clip, and where's me helping hands. Right, so, and everything needs a bit of clean up, doesn't it? Everything's got messy in the course of this video. Got blue tack everywhere. Right, you'll probably also notice on these little customised helping hands I've made myself, I put some heat shrink tubing over the crocodile clips as well, which is really useful because that stops them biting through wires and things. Great. Now, nearly there. So positive to, where's our, yeah, we've definitely got our resistors there, so not going to blow out our LEDs. The last thing you want to do is spend ages making one of these and wire it all up and then sort of do something stupid like run it through a battery with no resistor. Okay, I think my solder line should be hot by now. So just solder that one like that. Yep, that's good. And then our negative wires. Now I'm just soldering this to the battery clip so we can pop it inside the VW enclosure and see what it looks like. There we go. Oops, that one's a bit long, so let's trim that off there. Okay, a bit of solder. There we go. Whoops. There we are. Right. Now, hold on. Right, just a little tidy up. There we go. Now, that's those sorted. Even though I'm going to be taking them apart in a minute, I like things to work, so I'm just going to shrink the tubing around those. There we go. So there's our brand new purple composite LED. Just check that works. I love that colour. Isn't that gorgeous? It's going to, actually on the video, it's going to probably shine really brightly. It'll probably look like white because the camera's adjusting now for the darkness and so on. Yeah, so it's just going to look white. So there's no point in doing the video anyway. Oh well, let's see what happens. So put our helping hands away over here. And we're going to pop this through. So this will be finished off tomorrow. I'll be going out to the customer, whose name I will probably put on the screen. And here we go. Ooh. Ah. Let's see what it's like without any light, shall we? So shut down my computer. Turn off the bright light and this light. Ooh, look at that. That's interesting. There's still some light, there's still some luminosity coming through even though the monitor's off. It's weird, isn't it? Anyway, there's our purple LED. Ooh. Oh, so that's what it looked like on the floor of a gig. You know, you've got some various lights around, and there's our bright purple, I'm not going to say pink, there's our purple LED. That's on, that's off. It's going to be beautiful, isn't it? Right. There we go. Isn't that great? Now, from certain angles, like if you get, because it's an, you know, I showed you there's two pieces of there's two angles in there. If you get the angle right, you'll see the red LED, and if you, there's the blue one. See, red and blue. So depending on where you stand, you might see just a red LED or a blue LED, but in combination, the general effect is purple. Okay, folks, I'll show you finishing off and putting this together tomorrow morning. Thanks for watching. See you tomorrow. Okay, folks, it is I, Crazy Jack again, and yeah, after sort of showing you what the LED light, purple LED light looks like in the dark, I finally decided to put it all together and show you the finished product and give you a little sound sample so you can see what this sounds like. Now, before I do that, let me just show you. I decided in the end to dull it down a bit because the piece of acrylic was so clear, so shiny and clear, that you could actually see too much of the red and the blue individual bulbs through there. So I decided to frost it over a bit, return it to a more dull state, so that, let me show you, so that, there we go, can you see that? So that it diffuses the light a little bit. So there it is now, we've got daylight now, so you're not going to get the full effect of that, but that is a beautiful, beautiful thing, I should tell you. Anyway, so there's the insides. So there's the Crazy Jack hand design and hand etched circuit, all the wiring and so on. And here's the finished 2 bulb LED unit, which, as I do with some of the components, I what's it called, epoxy glue into place, because the last thing you want is things moving around. I like to make sure everything in the Crazy Jack range is nice and nicely put together, good quality and so on. So that's the inside of one of these, if you haven't seen that yet. I haven't put the knobs on yet. When I test these, I just put on these little cheapo knobs that slide on and off very easily so I don't damage anything. So I test it with those, and then when it's ready to pack up and go, I put on these more vintage knobs. But you can have any knobs you want on it. So if you're interested in having sort of, you know, some weird and wacky, you know, translucent green, transparent green lights and knobs with LEDs in the middle, just let me know, because I can do that. Right, so here we have the finished, look at that, it's like a little spaceship, isn't it? Finished thing, fitted with the footrest, beard, or whatever you want to call it. There's the insides. And just before I do the sound test, I'm just going to show you a couple of other things that I've got coming along in this range. Now, the customer's name is Alan, and Alan doesn't know this yet, but he got in touch with me because he's a big VW fan, and he used to, back in the, was it the 70s? I don't know. He said he had a 70s VW anyway, a VW Beetle, and that's why he purchased one of these, because he likes all of that so much. And he said, I had a lovely purple Beetle, and it would be amazing if you put a purple LED in it, which is where this whole project came about. So there's the finished thing, all ready to be screwed together, put the feet on the bottom and so on, signed and numbered. And this one, I've painted a VW purple Beetle on the back. Now, it's not quite finished yet. I'm just waiting for Amazon to deliver the final purple paint that I'm going to use on there. But there's a unique unit going out to Alan in the next couple of days. Now, if you're interested in commissioning something as a gift for a friend or a partner who wants something, you know, sort of custom like this, just let me know in the comments, suggest it, go to the eBay shop store and pop in a question there, message me, because I can do all kinds of things. Right, okay, so that's the DubFace. Okay, just going to put that aside, I'm going to be finishing painting that later. Here we have the Mog Face, just in case you haven't seen these. Now, this one's ready drilled up. It's all cleaned up. The insides are clean. Each one has a different sort of level of finish. Some of them are sort of some of them are very clean. Most of them have dents and scuffs and scrapes in it. You know, that's they're relics, they're road worn. They all have a plywood back like this, with 3 little threaded inserts there to draw the screws through, and this is a nice stable design. So that's another one. So basically I make these 2 parts and marry it together with the back, because each one is completely individual, and they have to be, the screw holes have to be in exactly the right place. So if, despite using a template, if for example I'm a millimetre out of the screw hole on one of these, it ain't going to match up with the back. So each of these are individually made as a pair. That one's been drilled, ready to put in the circuit, which, well, you've seen it in the other one, but the circuit looks something like that. Well, it does look like that. That is one, and that goes inside. Okay. So that's that one. Also coming along, I've got a couple of other things. I'm thinking about doing some painted ones, because some of these came to me and I buy them in batches, and some of them are great and can be used straight away with cleaning up. Some of them are a bit more corroded, and I thought, you know, I want to be able to use these. And some people might want a really corroded one, that's fine. But I've come up with a solution of putting in some of this, like I've got some of this great Araldite epoxy stuff, which you need, like a putty, you need to get them put there. And I thought I'd try it out to see if I could reclaim one that, you know, I wouldn't have otherwise sent out. And it's worked really, really well. Now, I've had a bit of a bodge of the paint job here. It's sort of pitted a bit like hammerite. But, you know, that's part of the character of this. But I just wanted to see what this looked like in metallic red. And there it is. Ain't that lovely? So please like and subscribe if you want to see what happens when this one's turned into one of my dub faces. Okay, and as I said earlier on the video, I think I showed you some pictures of the ones I've got in the workshop, including the Rover and the Fiat. And here's a nearly finished Fiat one. Yes, I'm going to call this, guess what? The Fiat face. Now, you know that sort of funky Italianate styling with the cream and leather seats, and the cream leather seats, and the green and the red and so on. I've incorporated into this one. This one's actually got a green stripe right the way around the base, a little bit of red on the on-off foot switch there, and it's got a tiny little round beard there to go with the sort of Fiat styly. And I've got 3 of these being put together right at the moment. So if you're interested in these, go onto my eBay shop and register, subscribe to me, or follow me there, so that you get news of when these come out. If you're a Fiat owner or you like Fiats, I'm doing these at the moment with these cream Strat knobs to go with the red and green. So I'll just show you what that looks like with the LED plugged in. There we go. This one hasn't got the circuit inside yet. It's all fully drilled and the sockets are mounted and so on, but there you go, there's a green one. Isn't it pretty? That's a Fiat face. Right, okay. So let's hear what this one sounds like, shall we? Now, let me see. Let's plug in the old battery here. There we go. So there's your light. Ooh, you've already seen that in the dark, that's great. Just going to put the knobs on again so that I can see where I am. That one goes on like that. I'm not going to push it on fully because these are just testing at the moment. I've got my little amplifier under the desk, under my monitor here. There's the output, the guitar in, and for today's demo I'll be playing my trusty Squier. Now this is a bit of a parts cast. It's a Squier custom neck, which is beautiful. It's a little bit chunkier than the classic vibes. I had a few of the classic vibes and I just found them a bit too skinny for me. I like a slightly chunkier neck, and this one's sort of moved from one guitar to another. I've had this a few years, but I like this neck very much, although I'm not so keen on the gloss finish. But and here's one of the Crazy Jack heavily relic bridges there, and medium relic control plate and knob, and there's a brand new nickel plated volume knob, so it's a bit of a mishmash. Oh, it's probably got can you see 2 little screws in the thing there? Yeah, 2 little screws, because I'm going to soon release a kit which fixes the wobbly bottom socket on your Fender telly. If you don't want to buy that electro socket thingy, you want to keep the authentic antique vintage look of your guitar. So I'm going to be releasing a kit, and it's very similar to the electro socket thing. You basically pop that in, put 2 screws in there. But I've done this on all my tellies and it works a treat. It's really, really nice. So keep out, you know, again, like and subscribe, and I'll be doing a video on that soon. Right, let's play, shall we? Okay, so why is there no sound coming out? What have I done here? That's really strange. Apologies, the neighbour's dog's barking again. So that's good. That's good. Bypass. Oh, I've turned everything down. Right, true bypass there. Whoops, let's just move my scalpel thing. Right. So I'm going through this little. This is a Crazy Jack amplifier speaker over here. It's only a little 6-inch thing, so not a huge sound, but. That's the sound of the raw power of the Crazy Jack 9-volt battery amp, and if you're interested in those, go and have a look at those on my website, on my eBay page as well. Okay, so that's volume full up on the both pickups and straight through, so that's the clean sound. Now, I haven't changed the strings on this guitar for ages. Just because I haven't got around to it. So it's a little bit of a dull tone. But we're going to see how that's fixed by this thing. Okay, so without further ado, let's have a little listen to some of the sounds, shall we? Here, for example, there was a woman in Georgia, didn't feel just right. She had the fever all day and the chills at night. Now that's the raw sound. There's a little bit of distortion there because I'm pushing the speaker a bit. But let's hear the same thing with the DubFace. Right, turned it down a bit there. Right, okay, so here we are. Went up in a weird key there. Okay, so we've got the volume full up there, and we've got quite a bit of fuzz, and now if I turn the fuzz up full and the volume down a bit, now it cleans up nicely. Just by you know, the normal volume thing with a Fuzz Face circuit. Okay, so that's the volume full. Now on the DubFace, let's turn the volume up full, shall we? I'm just going to turn the fuzz right down so it's nice and clean. dirty but clean sound, if you know what I mean. So on and so on. Excuse my lazy Hendrix. Anyway, so that's volume on full, fuzz right down. So now if we turn the fuzz up, okay, I'm going to leave it there because I don't want to annoy people too much. But anyway, there we go. So there's the DubFace, in this case with the lovely purple LED. There you go. So this is going out to Alan. Yes, I've remembered the name. And he's very patient. Thank you very much, Alan. I hope you're going to enjoy this. I hope you can enjoy the little picture of the VW Beetle on the back. And once again, everybody, thanks for watching. See you next time. Oh, please don't forget to like and subscribe to see more of these videos. Thanks. Bye. Right, let's go get some dinner. Telecaster man, tele in my hand. Telecaster man, tele in my hand. Well, I tried to, my baby just don't understand. Telecaster man, Telecaster man.
Is de behoefte aan het niet